just going to go back to my map, and I'm just going to zoom out here for a moment. So let's say we had a tornado come through this area. And let's just say I'm going to grab this and I'm going to say, okay, the tornado kind of went along that map right there, that route. And let's say I go ahead and make this a pretty pink, so it's going to kind of stand out. If I were to go through and start turning on my communications infrastructure, that contains where all my cell towers in the county are located, my Marks radio towers. If I turn on the HS facilities, if I turn on, and I don't think this would be a problem, I'm going to turn on my cemeteries as an example. Where's my history? Oh, here we go. These are historic sites that I have in the county, and I may not have imported them for this scenario.
You might need to, you can manually do it if you're happy to.
All right, so I'll go here to in here, and I'm going to hit this, and then
beside the add button, the little down arrow.
Go down. There we go.
That's the one.
All right, so if I hit all of these, and scroll down here, and what I've done is I've imported all the different historical sites and cemeteries that there are in my county. So imagine if I had a lot of information on this map: cell towers, extremely hazardous facilities, junction, key pieces of infrastructure. And when I zoom in, anything I see that's kind of close to this, I can say, hey, if I go on Sabin Cemetery as an example, I can see who the owner is George Arledge is the trustee, the township. And I don't have his phone number imported in here, but I could just give George a call and say, hey, George, you may want to go out there and check the place for damage. So imagine that for everything, for cell towers. Imagine that for public facilities. So it's just a way of being able to pre-identify where to focus your damage assessment teams as you're doing your post-storm damage assessment to identify where there may be, the biggest pieces of or parts of damage.
I'm just thinking in my head here, would it be useful for you to be able to create a buffer off that line, as in draw a line here, but mark the map half a mile either side of it?
That would be great, because if you had a large tornado, you could have cast off or debris that's going off to either side. So it kind of gives you, I guess you would say, an error probability. Or
I'm just thinking you could have a buffer. I mean, it might be 100 yards, but that it would mark up better.
But this is just a way that we can reach out to other people. They can do their damage assessment, and then they can contact us. And then on top of this, we have an emergency notification system that we use. It's like reverse 911 for the individual. If there's an emergency, if they need law enforcement, or if there's a fire, or they need medical attention, they'll dial 911, or in other countries, it may be like 999. What this allows us to do is to reverse that to where we're calling everyone. And we've created lists where I can send out a notification to all these extremely hazardous substance facilities saying, our county has just had a severe storm. Your facility may have been impacted. Please check it within the next 60 minutes and call us back at the EOC. And here's the phone number. And then we have this little board that we created that as they call in, we will click impacted, not impacted, damaged, destroyed, whatever. And then we can see as the board is greening up, hey, we're looking good, not a lot of damage. But if we start seeing some oranges and reds, we may want to start looking at the possibility of maybe some hazardous materials being released also. So it just kind of helps with the whole post-storm and post-damage assessment.
Yeah, definitely. Are you, if you get a damage assessment report coming in, are you logging them? I see you've got a damage assessment board. And I should explain for people not familiar with D4H, all the boards on the left, Thomas has built. So we obviously will give a hand at the start and give some inspiration, but I've never seen historical sites before. It's a great idea. And so you can build out these boards and layers and everything yourself and configure up all of the templates as you want to adapt it. Now, damage assessments, I'm guessing if you get a report of something in, you're adding it here. Is that what happens?
Well, we'll start noting some of this stuff in there, but there's another solution that we use for damage assessment called Orion. And that allows us to download everything onto a smartphone, and it ties in with our auditor's tax information and stuff. So that's what we use. But for some of the big ticket items, we'll start tracking that at least within the county level on there. So that way we can kind of keep our stuff clear from their stuff. And I've gone through and I've included like the area hospitals on here so we can see who's actually directing patients to other places. We've got hotels on here also. So if we have to start putting people up in hotels, we know who's got what rooms and so forth. So we really started looking at how can we build this out? And the way we kind of determine how we want this to be shaped up is based on exercises. We go through and we do a tabletop. And then as we're doing the tabletop, I go through and I start putting this stuff in there going, hey, we really need to do this, or wouldn't it be neat if we had this? And that's where I'm kind of tinkering off to the side. And this is where I'm really liking this.
Yeah, excellent. Even that Orion piece, I'd love to get an integration to that done. It would be brilliant if we can just show that on the map. I mean, that's what it wouldn't be a board, but we could pull all that data in for you and get it on that map.